Welcome to Season 5 of the Funding Love Adoption Podcast with Mal and Kate. We are two adoptive moms that seek to love, support, and elevate all corners of the adoption triad through honest conversation. This season, we are continuing through our series of walking through the adoption journey step by step by sharing stories, tips, and advice we have learned along the way. So pull up a chair and sip your favorite beverage because everyone has a seat at our table. We are Funding Love, the podcast. Hi, Funding Love family. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Funding Love podcast. But before we get started, I just wanted to take a moment to remind you and personally invite you to the 3rd annual fundraising gala, A Night of Dreams. Let's just say that this year's event is going to be, well, the greatest show. It is going to have a silent and live auction, full-plated dinner, amazing programming, and a VIP cocktail hour for our VIP guests. It's going to take place on April 25th at the Four Seasons Resort Orlando, and we hope to see you there. For more information, visit our website at fundinglove.com/Night of Dreams. Now let's get back to the show.
Hello and welcome back to the Funding Love Adoption Podcast with Mal and Kate. This is our final episode. So this is bonus episode 3, which makes episode 9 of season 5. So we are, after this episode, the season is over, which I can't believe. It's been so fun to add 3 bonus episodes. But this one's a quick turnaround. So I'm just going to say publicly, thank you, Garrett Hughes, who's our editor.
Yes.
So those of you who don't know, Garrett is the behind the scenes guy who's doing all of the editing for us. And we made this one a quick turnaround because what we're talking about today, we couldn't talk about until today. So we had to make it a quick turnaround. So
Right.
I have 2 special guests tonight. We have Jen McWilliams and Sarah Basham. And we are going to be talking about our Funding Love Adoptive Family Vacation 2025 that just wrapped yesterday. So today's Sunday, just wrapped yesterday on Saturday. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be recapping it. It's going to be a great conversation. So let's do a little bit of an intro. Jen, tell us a little about yourself, because I know I'm just going to say you're a 2-time magic maker with Funding Love and these families, and you've transitioned into a bit of a role of director of finance for us,
I have,
which has been a huge thing to have you part of our leadership team. So give a little bit of intro so our listeners and viewers know who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Jen. I'm from Canada, so that's fun, like international Funding Love person.
Yeah, we have an international team. Look at us.
Yeah.
Woo!
I love that.
Crossing barriers. So I am a pastor in Toronto, married to my husband, Jordan, with a cat, Liam. And I've been involved with kids and families my whole life through the different jobs I've had, pastoring in different churches and stuff. So I've always had a heart for children and learning more about adoption, as I have friends that have done adoption and all those sorts of things. And then I found Funding Love via Mallory. I'm also a big fan of the band Hanson. And so when you're on Instagram and you search for Hanson and Disney, Mallory's account kind of rises to the top. And so found her through there and then found out about Funding Love and thought, oh my goodness, I love Disney World. I love kids and families. This feels like a really great place. It's hard when you work in a church to find you don't really volunteer at your church because you're getting paid to be there. So it's where do I volunteer and give of my time? And so Funding Love felt like a great fit for me of somewhere that isn't connected to my work that I can give of myself and serve. So that's how I found my way here. And yeah, I am director of finance now because I also really like spreadsheets, which is weird, but I love it. And I've been on 2 family vacations now. So second one wrapped yesterday. So yeah. Still a bit sleepy, but
oh yeah, and we'll talk about that. Magic makers are the heroes of that trip. And then I want to give a little intro. Sarah Basham, she has been, a big supporter of ours and a part of our team for a number of years. Magic maker multiple times across our family trip and birth mom trip, and has transitioned a couple years ago into our vacation director at Funding Love. So she's an integral part of making these vacations happen. Dare I say, the most important part of making these vacations happen. So we're so glad to have you on this podcast and a part of our team. So give a little more intro of who you are.
Thanks, Kate. So I'm Sarah. I live in LA, Lower Alabama, with my husband.
What?
I know, right? Very close to the Florida line, but I live with my husband of 27 years. His name is Mickey. So, I've just been destined for Disney World. And I have 3 adult sons, and 2 of them still live at home with us. I have a dog, Gracie. She's my broke bestie. And I have been a travel agent for over 8 years now and have really loved moving into the funding love space. We have a huge heart for adoptive families and for birth moms. My husband and I do. We had hoped to adopt and we're not able to. And so we have made the choice to support adoptive families throughout the years and birth moms, kind of behind the scenes when we know somebody is either going, through the adoption process from either side. We have adoption in our family, in our extended family. And so I actually met Mallory at church and officially met her at her fundraiser when they were welcoming their adopted son into their home. And so we've been friends ever since. And I'm just so grateful that I get to be a part of these vacations and help make magic for our families and our birth moms.
Oh, you ladies are awesome. Well, thanks for joining us and recording this because I know y'all are both so tired. And Mel, I'm gonna I want you to decide how are we gonna start talking about this week because there's so much to unpack. I don't know. Maybe we just start with night one, the big the welcome.
I think that's a perfect way to start. So this year we actually hosted 5 adoptive families. Every year it kind of varies the number of families, but this year we were able to have 5 join us, and it was such an incredible week. These families were phenomenal families. Each one was unique and special and amazing in their own way, and I'm so grateful that they were able to join us. But night one, we kicked off with our opening night event. This is our 3rd year hosting an opening night event,
fun.
and this year it was a little bit different. Every year we're working with the funds that we have, and then we are also trying to modify to see what fits best for these families.
Correct, yeah.
And this year I think we really hit the mark. So our opening night this year included a really big pizza buffet where the families could come in and grab a slice of pizza, a salad. We had Mickey ice cream bars there for them, and then instead of a DJ this year, we actually went with a balloon artist. And that was so much fun. I felt like it actually helped them to create more conversation because
Yeah.
the DJ kind of usually gets all the attention when we have one in the room. And so this was more like, hey, we're all waiting here for our kid to get, a blow up something. That artist could make anything. We had crowns, we had swords, we had animals. And it kind of gave them a chance to talk to each other and get to know each other while their kids are in line getting balloons and running around in between bites of pizza. I felt like this year fostered a lot more community, which is one of our core values in our mission. And I thought that the night went well. And then, of course, we had our special guest, Mickey Mouse, show up, and he was able to sign autograph books that were actually donated by some of our donors to our welcome baskets and take pictures with the families. And we always love to have that Mickey Mouse meet and greet kind of get checked off right there night one. And it was just really incredible to bounce around and see how all of the different families reacted. So yeah, Jen, why don't you share a little bit about your family? How did they feel about that opening night event? Did they share anything about it?
Yeah, no, they loved it. And I think you mentioned the difference of this year from last year with having balloon animals over the DJ. I think we had a lot of young families this year with young kids, 4, 5, 6. And I think, traveling all day on airplanes, on buses, they're tired, and Disney can be very overstimulating. And so instead of having loud music going, to have it more chill, we had an outdoor place to run in, which was good for the little kids and the balloon animals. I would agree that it felt very much more like it's like one big happy family of people getting to know each other. It's always incredible to me how quickly they start talking to each other like they didn't just meet 5 seconds ago. It's very immediate. I was with the Doyle family and they loved it. The balloon animals were a hit running around. I think all of the kids they don't expect to see Mickey Mouse right away. We're in a room in the convention center. We're not in a theme park. So they're sort of well, maybe tomorrow at lunch we'll see Mickey. But then he just walks in, and he was in a cute little spring outfit this year, which was so sweet. And it was just really fun. I think Sincere was probably the first kid that got to him. Just was oh my gosh, it's Mickey Mouse. I have to go. So yeah, as an adult who doesn't have my own kids, but to see other kids have that experience for the first time is so delightful. And then the buffet and the Mickey bars, those things be pricey in the park. So being able to just walk up and grab one is again, I don't know if the families know on the first day that they're $7 in the park. So
Right.
it feels very welcoming and inviting, and like this is going to be a great trip, like right out of the gate, which is so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you brought that up because you're right. They're like $7 now, the ice
Yeah.
creams in the
Yeah,
parks,
they
and
keep
they're
going up.
unlimited that night. Like, we're not
Yeah.
passing out one per kid. Like, we
No,
had
no,
the
no.
ice cream sandwiches, ice cream bars, and then we had the strawberry, like, popsicle bars. What are those called? Strawberry
Strawberry.
Fruit bars. Yeah.
fruit bar.
Bar.
Yes, and they can get as many as their parents allow them. We'll put it that way.
Or their
Yeah.
stomachs can handle.
Yeah. Night one, sugar. Sarah, tell us how you feel like that set the tone. Like, because we really, with these vacations, birth mom or adoptive family, really try to make it a unreplicatable trip. We want it to be a vacation that none of these families could, or anybody else really could do on their own, because we make it so special with some customizations and those moments that not everybody gets in a Disney park or Disney vacation. So tell us how you feel like these opening nights that we're rolling in the last few years help set the tone for these families.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was able to kind of sit back when the event started and watch the families as they came in, and the wonder on their faces just to see Mickey balloons. We had a donor who brought one of the giant Mickey balloons from the parks. They went to Magic Kingdom right before our event and
Like,
bought
they're
5
like 2
balloons.
feet wide. They're massive.
Yeah, they're huge. They're huge. They're the ones that you see on Main Street, and they're like $25 each in the parks. It's a lot for a balloon. But we had a sweet donor who brought one for every single family, and so we used those in the middle of the tables along with other decorations, and it just the kids came in and they immediately see that, and they know they're at Disney. And every little element that we did was so special for them, from the balloon artist to the private meet and greet with Mickey. Our pal stayed with us for 30 minutes, and the kids got to talk to him, dance with him, get those autographs out of the way, take pictures. And I think one of the biggest moments for me was watching, we had Caden Sneezik, has 4 major food allergies. And those are very hard to navigate. Even as we were prepping for the trip and working on dining reservations and snacks to leave in their welcome baskets, that was challenging with these 4 big food allergies, and he cannot have them. But we had a team from Disney, their cast members. We had probably 4 or 5 people assigned to us that night, and they all asked us multiple times, like, make sure that we talk to us about Caden's allergies. And then to see his parents kind of breathe a little sigh of relief when they heard that the chef had something special prepared just for him. And then when his mom asked for something extra, they made it happen. We found out he loves broccoli, and so they went and they made some broccoli for him, and he devoured an entire plate of broccoli.
Love it.
But it was so wonderful to see their faces and just realize that Disney is going to take care of them, and that our entire team was going to take care of them this week too.
Yeah, they were seen. I love that. I mean, that really makes them feel seen and like valued. And because I imagine oftentimes as a mom and a dad with a child with allergies, especially multiple allergies, they can feel like a burden or a nuisance. Honestly, just naturally being like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Not a problem. Like, it really, I hope they walked in and they felt like, no issue. We got you. And
She apologized.
Disney really supported us in that night by making it happen. So I thought that was awesome. But last thing I'll say about opening night is the casual nature of it allowed everybody to come in casually at a good time and leave at a decent time, because that first morning in the parks is early. Yeah. So we're like, okay, I think intentionally this year, which was different than last year, we ended it earlier so that those families with 4-year-olds could get them in bed, because we know
3
as
4-year-olds.
Yes, with 3 triplets 4-year-olds.
Triplets 4-year-olds.
Yeah. So that was key, because then that leads us into the next morning where we start super early at Animal Kingdom.
Yes.
Which Animal Kingdom is the best that early. So that's really great. But Sarah, talk to us about Animal Kingdom. Like what like how the flow of the day is, and maybe Jen and Sarah, y'all can, and Mal too, jump in about like what are some special moments that we feel we captured, those families were able to take with them.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did start off pretty early at Animal Kingdom, and we were able to gather all of our families to take pictures. And in those moments, you can already see the families just excited to be there and to be making those bonds with within their own family unit. And then They've spent some time at the bus stop. They've spent some time at the opening night event together. And so they start talking and chatting and getting excited about the day. And then we always have a first ride of the day. And we did Kilimanjaro Safari. So it's always fun to go up to them. And when they ask you how many, we said,
My favorite memory.
we all yelled 37 people. I think that's how
Yeah.
many we have.
And then they just
So
give us a whole truck.
yeah, the look on the cast members' face is always like, what?
He was like, okay, one moment.
Okay, yeah, give me just a minute. But we were also able to secure lightning lanes for some of the biggest rides for those families. And so that allowed them to not have to wait in line, like for Pandora Flight of, or
Passage.
Avatar Flight of Passage, excuse me. And that was just a taste of what was to come for the whole week. But they absolutely loved that.
Yeah. Yeah, that is key because that is overwhelming to see 95-minute wait. And you're like, oh, no, not with kiddos. But that is a part of the magic that we're able to do this year. I mean, it's all thanks to our donors. It really is. Like, we just got to say, we're probably going to say that many times, but we have some awesome donors who see those gaps and step in because they want that extra magic. So I think that's absolutely amazing. Jen, do you have any moments that you remember from that morning, that day that you're like, oh, my family just lit up, or I saw another family, or I saw a bond, I saw a friendship?
Yeah, I think I'm always amazed at how quickly families trust us and we become part of their unit. So, like, this was the first day, and like our lead magic maker, Victoria, she's like, never tell your families before they get here that, like, oh, we can look after your kids while you go do stuff, because that sounds like, what are you going to do with my kids? But like, it's almost immediate when they get here. So, my family wanted to do It's Tough to Be a Bug. I am still a little traumatized by that ride. It's going away in about a week. But the little boy, Jason, in my group also didn't want to do it. So I hung out with him, and mom and grandma and Bethany went on that show. And so we were just waiting out by the back, chatting, hanging out. And then Pocahontas just walks by and we're like, oh, hey. So we had a little meet and greet, just me and him with Pocahontas, which was really cool. And then a little bit later, mom and grandma wanted to ride Dinosaur. And we didn't have lightning lane for that day. So it was a little bit of a wait, but the boneyard is still there for now anyway. And so I brought the two kids in, and they just like, they were there for an hour, I think, all said and done, and never once asked like, oh, can we leave? I'm getting bored or whatever. And like, there's one entrance and one exit, so everybody's safe. And they just played and ran and were kids and just loved it. Hanging out with like, they become friends. I don't know. Kids become friends with strangers really easy. Like, they're like, hi, you're my height. You'll be my friend now. So it was just fun to like sit and watch them play and know that, like, mom and grandma were off enjoying themselves on like an adult ride. She kept texting, is everything okay? I'm like, everything is fine. Like, go and enjoy and have fun. And so I know that mom really enjoyed, I was with a single mom, I should clarify. So her being able to just go and enjoy that time on a ride she really wanted to experience while the kids had this awesome time in the boneyard is definitely a highlight for me from that day.
Oh, see, that's what it's all about. That just made me like gave me chills. It wasn't anything big, but to know that mama was like, oh, my children with somebody safe, having a good time, and I can take this moment. And
she's like, I didn't know what to do. She's like, where do my hands go? Like, she's so used to, one of the kiddos is a bit of a runner. So the fact that she wasn't like, well, she could just like, hang out with her own mom and like go do a ride and know that the kids were okay and that happened several times during the week. Her kids were a little scared of the big rides, but she liked them. So I was like, well, go for it. Like, I can stay with the kids. It's great.
Yeah. I was in and out a lot that this past week, but I was there that morning, and the friendship between the season, Caden and Jason was like immediate.
Like,
they were holding hands through the parks, and I was like, this. I love this too. Like, this is the community that just like, it's all worth it, right?
Yeah.
Like, just those moments. I love it. But Sarah, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I think another special moment that I got to see that day was that we were able to secure dining reservations at Tusker House for all of the families, like kind of all around the same time. So they were all inside there at the same time. And, when you have a family and you go to Disney for the first time and you open up that menu, it is sticker shock, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just is. And thanks to the generosity of our donors, we were able to include the dining plan. And so sitting down with the families, they're like, this is really, like, this is included. And I get to order the kids a fun drink, and we get to have this amazing meal. And we were able to give them even gift cards for their gratuities. Just seeing that kind of overwhelm at the beginning when they realize how much we have included for them
Yes.
was really cool. Plus the fact that they get to have a character meal that day and eat some really great food and get fueled up for the rest of the day is just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that you brought that up, Sarah, about including gratuities too. Like when we say Funding Love is an all expenses paid vacation, we mean all expenses paid. And we have
Yep.
brilliant people like Sarah who know what everything costs because she's booking it every day for her clients. Like we are even doing those little things. Because if you're talking about, gratuities doesn't sound like much, but if you're talking, you sat down to a $500 meal,
Mhm.
well, gratuities can be pricey.
Yeah.
So we want to cover that cost for them because we don't want this trip to be a burden. We want this to be a yes trip. Yes, you can get the
Yes.
dessert. Yes, you can get that special drink because it's included in Funding Love. Donors have taken care of it. So I love that you brought that up.
That's awesome. Yeah. So day 1, Animal Kingdom. Day 2, we went to Hollywood because didn't we do Epcot second day last
We
year?
did.
We did.
Okay.
However, the Flower and Garden Festival opened either
right.
last Wednesday or
Thursday.
Thursday.
Wednesday was
Wednesday.
the opening day. So we
Yeah,
wanted
Wednesday
them
was
to
the opening
experience it.
day.
Got it.
So
Okay.
we normally you have Epcot as the second day and
Yeah.
Hollywood Studios as the third park day, but we really we didn't want them to walk into the park at Epcot and see all of these like the food booths closed.
Coming soon.
So the experience
No,
was
that's
closed.
actually a good
tomorrow.
point. And I'm glad, Sarah, that you knew that and that you're aware enough because you're a travel agent, so of course you know that. But that you did that intentionally. That's awesome. But Hollywood Studios was day 3, but day 2 in the parks. And I had to go that, listen, crazy week, husband that's traveling, whatever. So I wasn't there, but I was following along with Mal and Sarah, social media and everybody. But I heard from you guys that most of the families stayed all day, like little kids all day. Like that's I don't stay all day. And I feel like so tell us because Animal Kingdom isn't really a late park, right?
Yeah.
Everyone is
It doesn't
usually
even
Unless
stay
you're my
open very
family,
late.
we didn't do home clock that night. They went hard at Animal Kingdom.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, man! Like, what are these kids running at?
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah.
talk
Like
to us
ice
about
cream.
talk to us about Hollywood Studios Day because that park has a lot of fun rides.
Yeah, so we started out at Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and we were able to ride that all together again after we took some pictures, and the kids loved that.
Yeah.
And then they kind of divided up into, they had some scheduled rides because we were able to do lightning lanes for that day too.
Mhm.
And I think Jen's family, your family went back for a nap, right?
We did. So I learned after the first day that with our littles, if they didn't get their rest, like it might go bad later. And so we actually did take a 2-hour nap in the afternoon and come back, which I'm really glad we did because they wanted to see Fantasmic, which was supposed to go at 8 and 9:30, and then 8 got canceled. And I was like, And they're like, we want to do it. I was like, okay, we're staying until 9:30. So we went to the 9:30 p.m. Fantasmic
Wow.
show with a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old. So the 2-hour nap in the afternoon, like I slept for 2 hours. I'm not sure if they did or not, but I did. That we were able to do the whole day, like do the rope drop in the morning with the families and be able to do Fantasmic with a little break in between. So
So good.
helping families understand it's such a balance because
Mhm.
they're at Disney for the first time and want to see and do everything. But I know from personal experience, my first time ever here is that you can actually make yourself miserable if you go too hard all the time. And so
Mhm.
talking with mom and grandma, I said, we might have a better day if we just take a couple of hours, go back to the resort, rest, and then come back for the evening. And because the first Fantasmic was canceled, we were super glad we did that. Otherwise, I don't think we would have made it to the 9:30 show. So that's what we did. I know the King family, they had older kids. They were there rope drop to the 10 o'clock end of Fantasmic. Like they motored. They were very obsessed with Star Wars Land. There was a droid maid and a lightsaber maid. They really, really enjoyed themselves. So yeah, I think we were the only 2 families at Fantasmic, but we were the only ones that took a break. So everyone else was going
Yeah.
pretty long, I think, during the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a long day.
And
Yeah.
we were able to like last minute secure a reservation for Oga's Cantina. And we went in with the Dylans and the Kings.
The Kings, yeah.
And
Fun.
yes,
Yes.
so fun, so fun. And Oga's is just a really immersive experience. If you've been to Disney World and you're a Star Wars nerd, then you know Oga's is the coolest. So they were overwhelmed with how amazing it was. And we had a very generous donor offer to take care of the beverages that day. And so that was wonderful.
Yeah.
And then the afternoon, we all met up at the Indiana Jones stunt show. which is a great break for families of all ages.
Mhm.
And one of our donors, Kevin, he stopped by as a fun surprise for the families and brought everybody Mickey ice cream bars. And
Mhm.
so they had a relaxing moment to sit down, put their feet up, and enjoy a Mickey ice cream bar and a show.
So
Yes.
cool. So
And
cool.
that was more than a magical moment. I'm sorry, I have a kitty cat here that is really wanting
That's
some
okay.
love. So if you're watching on YouTube, it's just Georgie.
Aw.
Um, but that was such a magical moment, and we're so thankful that Kevin came because
Mhm.
We lost you, I think.
hear me?
Now I can.
Now we can.
Okay. Um, Sorry. So during
That's
that,
okay.
we were able to share with him about the families that were there, and then I also mentioned what we usually include in the vacations and what we're including in the vacations this year. And for full transparency, this year we did not have the donor ability this year to provide our families with VIP tours on their Magic Kingdom Day. And the past, is it 1 or 2 years we've been able to do that, Sarah? Is
Past
it
2
the
years.
past 2 years,
Mhm.
we've been able on the Magic Kingdom Day to provide the families with Walt Disney World VIP tour guides so that they can hit up that park that has the most rides and the most family-friendly rides as well. But we were like, every year is different. This
Mhm.
year, we just weren't able to make it happen through partnership of donors, and he was like, "No, we have to make this."
Wasn't having it.
So, thanks to Kevin and another donor, we were actually able to secure last minute 3 VIP tour guides for that Friday when we were in Disney's Hollywood Studios. And it was just a mind blowing,
Okay.
magical moment of like, our donors are so incredible, and to have someone show up, see these families, understand the importance of serving adoptive families, understand the gravity of what we do and how it's so much more than just a vacation, and then really want to partner with us to make magic for these
Mhm.
families. It was just such a touching moment. We're so grateful to Kevin for being a catalyst in that and for helping to
Yeah.
make that happen, not just the ice cream bars, but the VIP tour, which we'll talk about soon.
Oh
But that was
gosh,
such
yeah.
like a pivotal moment in the trip because it completely changed the course of how that Friday went. So,
Yeah.
donors, you are the magic behind these vacations. And so,
Mhm.
us talking about all these little things that happen, it's only because you are partnering with us. So, we just are so, so grateful for everyone that chooses to partner, whether it's giving a Mickey balloon, donating on our website, or, donating a VIP tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Lit
huge.
It's huge, yeah, and it's cool to see them step in within the trip because
Yes.
we
Yeah.
do. Yeah, because I think when people are seeing the trip take place on social media, whatever, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I wanna be a part of this," and for whatever reason, their blinders were on until the trip is going. They're like, "I wanna
Yeah.
help, I wanna help," and so they
It's
do,
not too
like,
late. It's not too late.
not too late, and
Not
that's what I
too
think.
late.
It's like,
Yes.
yeah, Mickey bars are magic, balloon is any way is
Yeah.
really serving these families and being a part
Mhm.
of Funding Love, and, we're
Mhm.
just so grateful.
Yes.
So, what a magical day into a day of rest. So,
Yes.
Exactly.
Wednesday is in the middle of the week. It's right in the middle of the vacation. We've strategically said we need a day at the pool, community day, sleep
Yep.
in, don't need to get up early and be at the bus stop.
Yep.
So, that seemed to be a great day for these families. Pool
Yeah.
time. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't able to be there, but for those of you who were, Sarah and Jen, I think you may have been at the pool with them. Tell us
Mhm.
like how you were interpreting the vibe and the how the families were mingling. How was that day?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that day, oh my gosh, it's so needed. I think it never used to be a part of the vacation, and
Right.
as a magic maker, I'm like, I don't like myself and Anna, my roommate, on Tuesday, were like, "How would you just keep going?" Like, we're like, "We're so tired."
Yeah.
So, I think I slept 10 hours the Tuesday night into Wednesday, and then myself and 2 other magic makers, like, went to the pool around lunchtime to get some food and hang out. We saw families in the pool hanging out with each other. Anna jumped in and went with Caden down the water slide a few times because he
She's
wanted to do
awesome,
that with
yeah.
her, which is great. People did what they needed. I know my family, they spent the entire day in their room just like drawing, coloring, watching TV. They just
Aw.
needed
Yeah.
downtime and they
Mhm.
had it. I know that the Hutchinsons with their magic maker went bowling at Splitsville
Mm.
because I guess when you have 3 4-year-olds, like,
You gotta
sitting
keep them
around
busy.
doesn't work, and so they're like,
Yeah.
"We're going bowling," and so I was like, "That's a neat idea," like, I don't know that that's happened before. So it's just kind of neat that families could do whatever it was they needed, right? If they wanted to hang out with another family, if they needed to just rest, if they're like, we can't sit still, so we're going to go do something. Like, there's lots to do on Disney property besides the 4 theme parks. And so this little day in the middle, if you want to do something, you can. And then, of course, at for dinner time, we ended up at Disney Springs together at Maria and Enzo's, which is when the Magic Makers found out, and then the families found out about the VIP tour, and I almost started to cry because last year when that happened, I just remember after a pretty tiring week, what a delight it is to basically get to turn your brain off when 2 o'clock comes, and also the bonds that happen in like the bus and the first ride now get to go for like 7 hours. Like it is such a big gift. And I was like, oh, it's too bad they can't have it this year, but it depends year by year. And so Sarah told us, she called all the Magic Makers aside at Disney Springs before going in.
Secret huddle.
Yeah, and my family was looking over like, is this good news or bad news? They were trying to look, and then they saw my face like I got like and they're like, oh, it must be good news because Jen looks really excited. So that was a key memory of the Wednesday, was that's when we found out that Friday was going to look very different than we thought it would. So yeah, it was a great day, a really good rest and reset for kids, for younger kids that are getting overtired or need to eat more snacks in their room instead of Mickey ice cream maybe, or whatever. It's a really good sort of reset day to then be able to take on the second half of the parks.
I love
and
that.
I think you made a good point, Jen. We have not always included a rest day.
Yeah.
And to think about the logistics of like a regular Disney family vacation that maybe we would take, or I might plan for my clients, I always encourage a rest day.
Absolutely.
But that does come with extra cost. You're staying an extra night. And so,
extra night, a dining plan.
Yes, absolutely. So when we decided to do that a couple of years ago, like we had conversations, can we make this happen? Can our donors make this happen? And we said yes.
Yeah.
And it was so wonderful. All the things that Jen said, we got to see these families rest, relax, recharge. And then that night, the team at Maria and Enzo's really treated us well. I just want to say I'm grateful for our partnership with Disney and all of their cast members who worked so hard to help make these trips magical. And so they were able to seat us all together all at once. It's hard to get 30 people sat at once at Disney World. It's really hard. But the team there made it happen. And before we ate, I was able to announce the VIP tour. And I wanted to say, Jen's family, Kara was able to bring her mom with her. So Kara's a single mom. She brought her mom, Sally. And I was sitting next to her, and she started crying. She was so overwhelmed when we announced the VIP tour. And I was telling them everything that was included. And she said, I saw the guides in the parks, and I asked who that was. And I thought, she said, I mentioned that only like rich people and celebrities get it. And I said, girl, you are a celebrity now.
Yeah.
And so we all got chills, and she started crying and was just so overwhelmed with gratefulness to know that was going to be on their radar. So again, thank you to our donors who made that.
Yeah.
I hope they all felt like, Mal, we were talking about this last week. I don't know who we were having a conversation with, but I hope these families felt lavished in love with things like that. Like these VIP tours that seem extra, they're extra, but they matter. Like it's not extra just for the fluff. It's not extra just for the image or the look or the anything. They're extra because we want these families to know that they matter and they're worthy of it. And we see you, and we want to take that burden from you and bathe in that. Like just say, oh, okay, I'm going to receive this, because like those are the things that set us apart at Fun to Love, because it really does, because it's not just like, hey, come. Yeah, we're here if you need us. No, we're going to come, and we're going to make this like you matter. Like this is hard. What you guys what adoptive families have to go through at times. It's a very lonely feeling as parents who, especially parenting kids with autism, reactive, RAD, all of those things that the stimuli of Disney can sometimes trigger.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So to have these Magic Makers, to have these special VIPs tours that can kind of take you in the back entrances, take you right through the lightning lanes. You're not waiting in the line with all those loud noises. It's like it's so cool that we can do this at Funding Love, and I'm overwhelmed by it. Like I just really hope those families are like, oh, I feel seen. I feel seen,
They said that throughout the week. Theo Dillon He's, oh gosh, how old is he? 10.
Yeah.
And he said, "Why are you guys so nice?" Because he was just overwhelmed with like the special touches that we're able to do all
Right.
week long.
Right.
And that was on the first day, the arrival day that he said that.
So
So
cute.
by the end of the
great.
week, he was just overwhelmed with how much we were able to do for
That
them.
is
And it was
so
so
cool.
precious. Yeah.
So fun. So then on to Epcot, which is
Mhm.
day, I don't know, 5. What is it? Day 5?
Mhm.
Something like that? Day
Sure.
5, I don't
Day
know.
4 in the parks.
Day 4 in
Yes.
the parks, day 5 of
It's
being, I guess,
Thursday. I don't know.
Thursday.
day 3 in the parks, whatever it
Adrian
is.
Parks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we're in Epcot this day now, and so we start the morning. I wasn't there. Did we do Frozen together?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did.
Okay,
Yeah.
because that in the past, that's the ride we've all kind of done communally and then kind of gone our separate ways. So,
Mhm.
how did the families react to being able to see Flower and Garden? Because it's one of my favorite festivals because of the beautiful. I love it. So, how did they react to that? Did anybody have anything
Yeah.
positive to say about it? Okay,
We all met up for our picture. We love to get a picture
fun.
and a quick like panning video in every park. Our social media. Thank you, Emily, for keeping social media
Yes.
on its toes all week. It was so great to follow along with all that she was posting. But then we all walked to Frozen, and I kept up with the Sneezik family, and she shared with me that she actually grew up in Tokyo, like walking distance from Tokyo Disneyland, and how special it was to be in Walt Disney World.
Mhm.
And when we passed by the flowers, she was just like, "Oh my goodness," and wanted to stop and take pictures. Like she was
Mm,
in awe of all of the flowers because they truly are beautiful.
They
Like from
are.
far away,
yes.
the like embankments look like
Ah,
someone just like painted something, and
Painted
then
them
you walk
on.
up and you're like, "Oh my goodness, it's flowers." So
yeah.
it was so fun to see her reaction and how she was like, "I know we're supposed to be getting to this ride, but we really need to stop and take a picture of this, floral Mickey." It was just really cute. I love when the adults start acting like children and get excited over
Yeah.
things. It's just like one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's what
my,
it's about.
little boy Jason was really excited about finding characters that he knew, so Phineas and Ferb were there, and he, like, freaked out, so, like, we were
Oh,
in front of the pack, so he, like, ran over and got a picture with that, like, on our way through, and they were really excited to see, I know, Mima just said, like, "It's so beautiful." I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "This isn't vanilla Epcot, like, we're actually at the start of a new festival," so
Yeah.
I explained what Flower and Garden was, what the food booths were, so they were like, "Oh, this feels,
Mhm.
like, kinda special," and I was like, "Yeah, like, it is, it's
Mhm.
great," so it
Yeah.
was cool for them to be
so
there during that. I
awesome.
know, I wasn't with them, but I saw pictures. I think the Hutchinses ended up in the butterfly garden, which is
Oh,
something
yeah.
they do for Flower and Garden, chasing butterflies around. So again, for little kids and for adults, it's kind of just a neat thing that's not always in Epcot, but it is
Yeah.
And
at the
those are
Flower
our
and
little
Garden.
farm kids on the trip, so they found their way to the
Yes.
nature. I love it.
Yeah. They
If
Yes.
there
did.
were
They're like, "We
animals, I
need
think the
it."
Hutchinsons found it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So great.
It's really sweet.
So let's just fast forward then to the last day because we've been talking about
So
it since,
special.
yeah, the
I know it
VIP
keeps coming
tour.
up.
So the cool thing about that though is because it's early mornings, all like every park day's been an early morning. The benefit of having the VIP tour is we start it early afternoon so we can end it with fireworks
Mhm.
because it's 7 hours long. So we strategically plan it so that the timing
Later in
works
the
out
day.
that way,
Mhm.
which means we don't need to necessarily get in the park right away to get to the lines to do all of that. So it gave our families another gift of a little bit of a slower morning, which was so
Mhm.
cool. So we arrive at Magic Kingdom, a little bit of a slower morning, and get pictures, and then tell us about the day.
Everybody got to have lunch, a really special lunch on the last day.
Yeah.
They either chose Cinderella's Royal Table, where they could dine in the castle, hosted by
Yeah.
Cindy and her friends, or be our guest, hosted
That's
by the
Nice.
Beast in
In
the Beast
another
Castle.
castle.
In
Yeah.
another castle,
Yeah.
yeah, and so I think all the families were really excited about that because that's like a signature experience,
It is.
And it's
and
really hard to get. So can we like do like
So hard
round
to
of
get.
applause for Sarah and all her agents
And
that
her people.
helped to get those because those reservations are not easy to
Easy.
get.
Nope.
No. And
Nope.
also another shout out to our donors because so when you're on the dining plan, you get 1 table service per night and there's 6 nights. So if we used 1 a day, we wouldn't have enough because Cinderella and Be Our Guest take 2. So then there's a night without food. But because we have the welcome dinner now on the first night, we still get fed all 6 nights. So
yeah,
part of the reason we can do these like fancies at Magic is because we have a meal covered on that first night with the
Yep.
welcome
mhm,
banquet. So
Yes.
just another again shout out because yeah, I've only ever eaten at Cinderella's Royal Table when I've been a magic maker. I had never been in there besides because like she pricey. Like it's
So
a
Jen
fancy
signs up.
meal, right?
Why do you want to be magic maker? Royal table.
Yeah, like I've been there twice now, and it's a delight, and the kids were so good. Like every one of our table services were character meals because when you're 5 and 6, it's what you do.
Oh,
But
yeah.
some of the fur characters, like we're like, okay, so but today we're seeing princesses, so like you
Mm,
need to be like a gentleman or like a little lady when we're meeting the
I
princesses.
love
They're like, okay, and they were so like polite and cordial and just like it was very, very sweet to see how sort of their demeanor changed because, like, the princesses were here,
They
so
had to
that was very
practice
sweet.
being in a different atmosphere.
Yeah,
happens to
so
me. I get it. I get nervous. You
yeah,
see a princess, you're like, what was I gonna say?
yeah, and the characters were so good with both of them too, like, I just basically kept taking pictures for the whole 90 minutes we were in there because, like, Bethany's face would just light up with every
Aw,
single
sweet.
one, and the princesses really took their time with the kids, and,
Mhm.
it was just a really delightful and also, like, kind of calm moment before I knew right after, like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
VIP tour was gonna start, so it was really nice to have that time and character interaction in that
Yeah.
space before the day sort of continued.
So great. So VIP tours, the whole thing can be magical, right?
Mhm.
So like what are some highlights from those y'all who were on the tour? What were some highlights? Because I was just following along on social, Sarah texting me some key moments, but let's tell like our listeners, viewers, like what are some of those like memorable moments that we want to highlight? Because the whole it's hard to talk about the whole thing because it would
Yeah.
need a whole nother episode. But
I
like
know.
tell us some key moments.
Well, first of all, when you're on a VIP tour, the guide is at the front, and it's like
Yeah.
the crowd's part for
Yeah.
you. It's just like the sea is opening, and so
Yeah.
the families were all amazed by that. They kept saying we never would have been able, even with our magic makers, even with lightning lanes,
No.
it it just is faster when you're on a VIP tour. But one of the
Mhm.
coolest moments I think I got to see was that Jesse Hutchison, he had wanted to ride Tron. But, before the VIP tour, he had decided not to. We offered them, the lightning lane that you can get for Tron, and he said, "I really just wanna spend that time with my kids. Like,
Mm.
I don't wanna ride a ride without them."
Mhm.
But
He said
then
that to
when
me too. I love that. What a guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great dad. Oh my
He
gosh.
is.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And, so the VIP tour guides, we had 3 who were all amazing with all of
They
the
were like
kids.
3 magic makers plus Disney fancy front of
Yes.
line people, like, they were all of
Yes,
it.
phenomenal. They were playing with the kids, they
Yeah,
were dancing, I mean, on top of their VIP guide duties,
yes.
Mhm.
and they gave the option, for kind of our final ride before the fireworks for people to go do Tron if they wanted something more thrill, or to go do the Tomorrowland Speedway if they wanted something more chill,
Mhm.
and Jesse was going back and forth, and his wife said, "Just
Go.
go." And so he got to ride Tron, which
Mm.
is probably the coolest ride in Walt Disney World, and he was thrilled. He was like a little kid, which is one of the best parts about being at Disney as an adult. You get to
Mhm.
be a kid again. And so
Mhm.
it was so cool to see him be delighted like that.
Mhm.
Gosh, that is a cool
Mhm.
ride. That takeoff is like none other. Gosh,
And
it's so
then
Yeah.
I also want to add that Tron was kind of a special moment too. It was kind of like a hard moment that turned into a
Mm.
special moment because we had Caden, who was the sneezing boy, and he wanted to ride Tron, but then when it came up to the moment, it just wasn't going to work out. He was a little bit too overwhelmed to get on, so the rest of the family got on, and his magic maker and our VIP guide were able to sit off with him. But then he
Mhm.
kind of got upset because as a kid, it's like, "Ooh, I don't wanna ride," but then I'm upset that
Yeah.
I missed out too.
Mhm.
And so after that, the plan was to go straight to fireworks because we were getting right up there close to that firework time, and we had 2 guides with us. We had, I think it was Casey and Casey, right? We had
Mhm.
Casey, and Ellie,
And Ellie,
and,
yeah.
so one Casey said to the other Casey, like, "I do feel bad that he didn't end his night on a ride like the rest of them. So how about you, Casey, the female Casey, took us all to the VIP firework area, and then the male Casey was able to take just the Sneezik family
Mhm.
over to the Buzz Lightyear ride so that he could finish out his night on a
Nice.
ride that was really fun for him." And I just thought that was so special because not only did they, like, take that extra effort, but it really made him feel special because he got to go do that with his family. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I just loved that little
Oh,
magical
I
moment that
didn't
they
know
were
that.
able
That's so cool.
to make it right for him that, so he could end his night on a fun ride
That's
too.
what matters. Gosh, that's
Yeah.
what matters. That's so great.
Oh,
And there's nothing like on a VIP tour, being able to be in that VIP area for fireworks
Oh,
because
wow,
you're
yeah.
not
Oh my
amongst
gosh.
the crowds. So for those listening or watching or whatever, it's just you're in like this gated off area
Your
where
little head.
your kids really can kind of go
Move
a little
around.
bit, move
Yes.
around, and you're not like just shoulder to shoulder with strangers, and you're kind of watching your kids and freaking out because it's like you're
Yes.
And
trying to
it's a
hold
lot. Like,
And
are there 20,000 people in that hub for the fireworks? Like,
there's
it's
something.
insane
It's
when you're
madness.
in it. I've been in it many times.
So
And
it's
so
Yeah.
so
this is like,
cool to be able to
yeah.
have a place to sit on the lawn, know
yes.
your kids are safe,
And
and
if
they're
and if
Go
you're
ahead,
a
Mel.
Disney goer, then you know that in order to get a good spot for viewing, you probably need to start holding that spot down 45 minutes to an hour
Yeah,
before
For 30
fireworks start.
people, definitely.
And and for a party
That's
of
what we were planning
37,
on.
we probably needed to hold down a spot for a couple of hours to be able to have that type of space in a good viewing area. And it was so nice that just 20 minutes before, we're slipping into that VIP
Yeah.
area. And it was funny because when we were walking there, people are already getting herded into the designated viewing areas. And we were walking along the sidewalk that was like leading up to it. And there wasn't a lot of people on it. And the Dylan mom, whose name is Felicity, she's from England. So, of course, she had the cutest accent. But she turns to me and Tim and she goes, "So, is this like a VIP walkway?" Because, like, no one was on it. She was like, "I feel like we're VIP on this walkway. Are you only allowed to walk here if you're VIP?" And hopefully she doesn't mind that I'm trying to do her accent because she's so
You did a good job.
adorable. But, but we were like, "No, it's not. It's just Casey knows the best way to take."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, because this is his job and he knows the exact route to take us to get
So
us
I
there
guess it is
quickly.
VIP,
So
essentially.
it
Yeah.
re it feels like VIP, even though
Yeah.
we didn't have to be, but it's just all those little things that you don't realize, and I hope our families don't realize, right? I hope that it's just so easy and fun and magical that they don't realize all of the work that went into it, but that it's not normal. It's not normal to walk through the hub easily and get to your firework viewing spot that's a perfect view with room to breathe 15 minutes before the show.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
not normal.
Well,
Yeah,
and
that's
then I
awesome.
would say cherry on top at the end. I was on the bus with the Dylans and the Doyles going to Magic Kingdom that morning, and we were like, "This is our last bus ride." And like one of the kids was like, "Oh, that's kind of sad," but we were like hauling strollers and folding up and like crowding in, like to be able to then have that experience and then be like whisked away backstage into vans. And they dropped us like right next to our elevator. I think I had to walk 15 steps to get from out of the car
Oh,
into my
wow.
bed.
That's
Like it
great.
was right there. It's like this. Some families that were getting kind of tired at this point, right? We're like, man, like that. Even that was worth it just to have that experience at the end of the night, not dealing with
So
the
worth it.
mobs all leaving Magic Kingdom.
Mhm.
Was just a very sweet way to end the trip. And like some of us could have breakfast the last morning, but not everybody could. And so there were some goodbyes, and people are sad because they're leaving their new friends. And so to have it happen in that sweet way of like going home with the VIP guides and vans instead of the craziness of the bus
Mhm.
was just like cherry on top of the whole day.
Mhm. And mine and Tim's magical moment was getting to wave to you because we were walking back to our car and your vans drove by and
We're like, "Hey, it's your rods." We're like, "Hello."
we got to wave to your vans going back to resort. That was a little like kiss goodnight for me.
Yeah, I said
Oh,
to Ellie,
perfect
she was
timing.
driving us. I was like, "We couldn't have planned that if we
No,
tried."
you
Like the
couldn't have.
timing was just perfect. Yeah.
So fun, so fun. Well, I mean, what a magical trip from top to bottom because then ends at Magic Kingdom, ends with Mickey bars again in the VIP area,
Mhm.
head back to your resort, you wake up and it's goodbye. So that it's a week full of, I mean, exhaustion. One of the moms said like how it filled her heart and her families and the bonds and the community. And then she's like, and my waistline's a few inches more, but I don't care.
Yeah.
You
We
know,
don't
I forget-
care.
I'm good paraphrasing. I don't even know what she said, but it was
Yeah.
something like that where I giggled and I was like,
Mhm.
it is full of so much, and I'm sure these families are probably still in bed, whatever. But you guys, Sarah, Jen, were there all week. I know Mal, you and your family kind of were there more than you anticipated being because the families become like
Love
friends, especially once you're there and you spend the first night, the next morning, you're like, yeah, I guess I'll come. I guess I'll come. And now that y'all are local, so you guys really put in a lot of time and energy. So, like, thank you, I guess. I mean, that's just incredible for all of the hard work and physically, mentally, Sarah, all the work you put in prepping for this trip, like months and months and months and months and months, the planning, there's so much intention, and it shows. So that is totally, totally you. And we're so grateful
Oh,
for
thank
that.
you.
And you're honestly, I just got to say, you're so wise too when you plan it about ensuring our donor dollars are used in the best way. There's nothing that is misused in any way. Every dollar spent is intentional. And we're very careful about that because we just want to be wise with the hard-earned money that donors send our way.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Anything, Mel?
I just want to circle back to what you said at the beginning of the podcast, Caitlin, about how these are vacations. We intend to make them vacations that you can't replicate. And I just want to reiterate that to our donors, that when you are giving the Funding Love, you are not just gifting a Walt Disney World vacation, because that's not even our mission. Our mission is not we send families to Walt Disney World. Our mission is to create post-adoption experiences that strengthen bonds, build community, and restore people. And I think we've had stories that have exemplified every single part of that mission here tonight, of families having stronger bonds and people building community, and for especially these parents to walk away with a little bit of restoration. So I am so grateful for the donors, because they're doing so much more than they think, even just by donating a Mickey bar.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And go ahead, Jen.
I was going to say, like, I bet if we called up any of the 5 families right now and like said, give us top moment from this trip, it wouldn't be, well, riding Tron. That was a top. It wouldn't be. It would be, I met this family. This happened with my kid. Like, it's those in-between moments that, because of the Disney experience, which we all love, but also because of how Funding Love crafts the trips, it's those in-between moments, the things between the rides and the stuff that, those are like the favorite memories, the things that last. And so, I think Disney World is just a great mechanism with which to do this type of thing, but that's not, maybe the 4-year-olds might say it was a ride, but like generally speaking, it won't be like, oh, this attraction or this Disney specific thing. It's going to be the relationships, the restoration, the community. Like that's kind of the highlight for like of these trips.
Yeah, that's well said. And we always say Disney's just the vehicle to our mission. Disney isn't the mission, Mal, like we said. It really is. And I love that you said that, Jen, because it is the details in between that are the most powerful and the most, I don't know, they stay with you. And the friendships, my goodness, these little kiddos and their friendships.
They're already planning
so
flight.
Sweet.
Like,
I love it.
All sorts of trips together.
The Hutchinsons and the Dillons flew down together, or the Doyles, sorry. The Doyles and the Hutchinsons were on the same plane coming down. Yeah. So they were like already friends before the trip even started. And now they're like, they live an hour and a half away. They're planning a visit with one another in the summertime. So they're already like, when can we hang out again with one another, which is so cool to see.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And Kara told me that she was thinking of planning a trip to Texas to go to a theme park with the Sneeziks there.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope
like
you do. That is such a sweet friendship.
So I love they can get Jason and Caden together again. But that is the best part. It's so cool to see them make those connections that you hope live on for many, many years.
Yeah. Hey, well, Jen and Sarah, thank you for joining Mal and I on this last episode of season 5. It's been so fun to chat through. And just to, like we've been talking about the magic that happened this past week. Listen, now on to the next thing, right? Like it's so hard. I just got to say one more thing, because it's so hard, because I said this opening night that we see these families on paper. We see their pictures. We hear their stories on paper. We talk, Sarah, you talk to them. We don't really talk much, maybe a couple Zoom calls. And then they're finally in the room and it feels like, oh my gosh, they're here. And then then it's more than just like a face and a name. Now then it's friendships, it's a bond, it's all of that. So then you're like, goodbye. And you're like, oh my gosh, all of that is gone. Yeah. It feels so like a whirlwind, but mission accomplished. And it's amazing. I can't wait for next year. I can't wait to see what our donors continue to do for us, so we can bless even more families.
Yes.
Because this is a worthy cause, and I will publicly hand to the Lord here. Keep fighting for it, because it matters. It matters in so many ways, not just for Disney, but for strong family units. So thank you, ladies, for joining us talking about this, and thank you, listeners and viewers, for tuning in to this episode of the Funding Love Adoption Podcast with Mel and Kate. We'll see you all next season. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Funding Love podcast. Funding Love is a crowd-funded nonprofit, which means that people like you can help make a lasting impact in the lives of adoptive families and birth moms. Visit our website at fundinglove.com today to give, visit our swag shop, or purchase tickets to our upcoming fundraising gala, A Night of Dreams. When you partner with us, you are funding love.